Forget about the Netflix interviews or the complaints about privacy, because right now at the Supreme Court, the truth hunter Tom Bower has just delivered a deadly blow aimed directly at the survival of the Sussexes. When the name Trevor Engelson, Meghan's ex-husband, echoed through the room along with a top-secret DNA file coded Operation Cuckoo, the courtroom was thrown into chaos. Harry stood frozen. Meghan ran out in tears. Is Archie truly of Windsor blood? Or is his entire identity just a pawn in the most sophisticated power play in royal history? Why has Buckingham Palace chosen to bury this truth for nearly a decade? We're not talking about rumors. We're talking about genetic evidence that could permanently erase a line of succession. Don't miss a second of this video because the truth is about to be revealed. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit like, and leave a comment. There are mornings when the sky in London is not just gray with fog, but heavy with an omen of something about to break. In January of 2026, the crowds headed toward the Supreme Court of Justice not to witness a property dispute or typical tabloid accusations. They came to witness the fall of an icon, or perhaps the unveiling of a century's lie. Inside courtroom number 7, the air was thick, almost suffocating. The sound of pens gliding across paper by international journalists creates a dry, expectant noise. And then the central figure steps in, not a royal with a crown, but a man with silver hair and eyes as sharp as a razor, Tom Bower. Tom Bower isn't here to tell idle stories. In the world of investigations, he's known as the executioner of the truth. From media moguls to renowned politicians, anyone who falls within Bower's crosshairs knows one thing. Once he speaks in court, he holds irrefutable evidence in his hands. But this time, his target is not a financial conglomerate. His target is the very core of the British royal bloodline. Look at the spectator seats. Prince Harry sits there, his shoulders tense beneath his dark suit jacket. His gaze, which often blazes with anger toward the press, now carries an unusual emptiness, a haunting void. Sitting next to him is Meghan Markle. She still carries the demeanor of a Hollywood star, but those who watch closely can see her hands gripping her handbag so tightly that her knuckles turn white. That facade of calmness shatters in an instant when Tom Bower begins his testimony. His voice is deep, but it reverberates through the entire courtroom. He doesn't speak about the conflicts between sisters-in-law, nor does he bring up the arguments over the bridesmaid dress. He goes straight to a matter that millions never dared to consider, the true bloodline of Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor. When the name Trevor Engelson, Meghan's forgotten ex-husband, is spoken by Bower, followed by the words, "genetic comparison results," a cold shiver seems to run down the spine of everyone present. It was no longer a rumor circulating on conspiracy forums. It was a sworn testimony. The room, once quiet, now fell into a silence so intense it became almost terrifying. It was so quiet that one could hear the gasps of shock from the royal lawyers. Harry, the man who had sacrificed everything from titles and safety to his relationship with his father and brother to protect his small family, now looked as though his very soul had been ripped away. His mouth falls open, his eyes wide, staring into the void. Perhaps in that moment, thousands of fragments of the past, thousands of lingering doubts suddenly connect to form a horrifying picture. And Meghan. Her reaction is the clearest answer to the chaos. There's no firm denial, no defiant look. Instead, there's a complete emotional breakdown. Tears streamed down her face, and then she stood up quickly, walking out of the courtroom, leaving the security forces stunned. The sound of the wooden door slamming shut behind her felt like the final punctuation mark on the modern-day Cinderella fairy tale. Why would a legendary journalist like Tom Bower choose this moment to expose everything? What does he hold in his hands that could shake an entire dynasty to its core? This is not just a story about a child. This is a story about the legitimacy of the throne, about a conspiracy at the highest level, and about the greatest betrayal a man could ever endure. In today's special episode, we will delve into the darkest corners of this trial. We will question every detail you ever believed to be true about the birth of Archie. Prepare yourself, because what you're about to hear will not only destroy the image of the Sussex family, but it could forever change the way we perceive contemporary royal history. The truth always comes with a price, and it seems the price Harry is about to pay is his entire life as he once knew it. To understand why Tom Bower's testimony has such devastating power, we cannot just focus on what he says, but we must look at the person who has said it. In the world of investigative journalism in the United Kingdom, Tom Bower is not just an author. He is a nightmare for anyone attempting to conceal the truth behind layers of glittering facades. Bower is not a blogger sitting behind a computer screen weaving fanciful theories. He is a retired lawyer, a seasoned investigative journalist from the BBC, who has dedicated his life to bringing down those who consider themselves untouchable. From billionaires who own media empires to corrupt politicians, the list of Bower's victims serves as proof of a steel-cold principle: he never strikes without having enough ammunition. When Bower wrote Revenge in 2022, the world was shocked. But what he revealed in the London courtroom in January 2026 goes far beyond that many times over. Under the intense cross-examination by Meghan's lawyers, Bower remained calm, almost coldly composed. He does not offer emotional guesses. Instead, he asks the court clerk to display a complex diagram on the big screen. It's a timeline of Meghan Markle's life from 2013 to 2018, a timeline he calls the record of overlaps. Bower begins to peel back each layer of the story. He dives deep into 2013, the time when Meghan finalized her divorce from film producer Trevor Engelson. According to the official narrative that the Sussexes have always promoted, Meghan is an independent woman, self-sufficient, and has completely severed ties with her past to embark on her journey toward royal love. But Bower presented a very different reality. Through hotel records, verified phone calls, and testimony from former staff members, he asserted that the connection between Meghan and Trevor had never truly ended. The silence of Harry, Bower says in court, is not a matter of respecting privacy, but the result of a sophisticated information manipulation process. He points out that during the period from July 2016, when Meghan first met Harry, to when they publicly announced their engagement, there were inexplicable gaps in Meghan's schedule in Toronto. These gaps, according to Bower, oddly coincide with the unpublicized trips of one man, Trevor Engelson. What sent a shiver through the courtroom was the way Bower described his network of sources. He revealed that he had gained access to the gatekeepers of the palace, longtime servants who had observed events from behind the velvet curtains of Kensington Palace. These individuals had remained silent for nearly a decade out of loyalty to the crown, but under the pressure of the truth and the overwhelming upheaval surrounding the Sussexes, they chose to speak to Bower. Bauer argues, the doubts about Archie's paternity do not stem from malice, but from logic. He poses a devastating question. Why is every detail about Archie's birth shrouded in such thick fog? Why did the famous royal doctors refuse to sign the traditional birth certificate a practice followed for centuries? And most importantly, why did Meghan insist on changing crucial information on her son's birth certificate just a few months after he was born? Bauer didn't just expose Meghan. He was indirectly criticizing Harry's weakness. He portrayed Harry as a puppet in a play too perfectly staged, where the truths about his bloodline were swapped for oaths of eternal love. Bauer claimed that he held copies of internal reports from the Royal Security Forces, who had been instructed to monitor Meghan's relationships before the wedding. According to Bauer, these reports contain red flags about the unwelcome presence of former figures in Meghan's life, right on the brink of her wedding. The weight of Tom Bauer's testimony lies in the fact that he doesn't need to shout. The calmness of someone who holds the truth is his most powerful weapon. He looks straight at Harry and says, "The truth doesn't belong to anyone. It simply exists. And my job is to bring it out of the dark cellar." In that moment, all of London realized that this was no longer a family dispute. This was a historical purge. And Tom Bauer was the one holding the key to unlock the Pandora's box that the British royal family had been trying to bury for so long. Why Trevor? What does a Hollywood film producer have to do with the British line of succession? To answer this question, we must look at how Tom Bauer dismantled Meghan Markle's portrait before the court. Bauer does not call her a victim of the media, he calls her a master strategist. Dear friends, Trevor Engelson is not just an ex-husband. He is the one who stood by Meghan for nearly a decade, from when she was a struggling supporting actress trying to make her mark to when she reached the spotlight with Suits. Trevor is the one who holds all the memories, knows every habit, and most importantly, he understands the darkest corners of Meghan's ambitions. Something that perhaps Prince Harry in his infatuation has never truly touched. The story of Meghan and Trevor still holds many untold secrets, and we will continue to follow these developments. Leave a comment with a 1 if you agree with this perspective, or a 0 if you disagree. Don't forget to like, share, and leave a sub to support us. Let's keep uncovering the secrets behind this story in the next video. In court, Tom Bauer asked a question that made the entire room shudder. Could a woman as calculating as Meghan truly sever her lifeline when she wasn't sure she had a firm grip on the new island she had anchored herself to? Based on investigative evidence, Bauer presented what he called unusual communication. Between 2016 and early 2017, right when Meghan was immersed in romantic kisses with Harry under the flash of paparazzi cameras, she was accused of still maintaining a complex connection with Trevor behind the scenes. Bauer claims that Meghan used anonymous email accounts and high-level encrypted messaging apps. What was the purpose to discuss Hollywood business, or to keep a safe exit strategy in case her royal dream shattered? But dear friends, the crux of Bauer's testimony lies in the timeline of genetics. This is a ruthless, yet highly logical argument. Bauer questions why Meghan pressured Harry to rush the wedding at such an unusual pace. Why the rush to marry when love was still fiery and the palace hadn't yet exerted too much pressure? The answer Bauer gave in court was like a knife to Harry's heart. It was a biological truth discovered at the end of 2018. Bauer argued that if Meghan had become pregnant during a period when relationships were still tangled, she would have been facing a fateful dilemma.